I rubbed my eyes really hard, but the sight in front of me didn't change. When I finally looked again, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Our house looked completely different, like it had been made bigger and changed somehow. Hi, I'm May. I'm 43 years old and I work at home. I've been married to my husband Jim for 15 years, but we haven't had kids. That's okay though, because we're happy together. We made a promise before we got married, and as long as we stick to it, everything's good. When I was young, my parents died, so I only had my husband's parents, who I call my own. We used to live just a short bike ride away from them, which was perfect. But things changed when my father-in-law died suddenly. It hit my mother-in-law hard, and we did our best to help her through it. After about 6 months, she started feeling better. But then things got weird. My mother-in-law started coming to our house all the time, every single day, even when we were busy. She'd let herself in and say she was taking care of things so we could go to work. At first, I thought it was nice of her, but it started getting annoying. I wanted to talk to my husband about it, but he was always out when I got home from work. One day, I came home exhausted, and when I went to change in the bedroom, I saw this huge vase that wasn't there before. I was so surprised, I screamed. When I went back to the living room, my mother-in-law was there, eating crackers and making a mess. I asked her about the vase, and she said she put it there. It was this big Japanese-style vase that didn't fit with our Western-style room at all. I couldn't understand why she put it there, and she didn't seem to get why it was weird. Now, she's eating chocolate next to that precious vase a colleague gave me as a souvenir from their trip abroad. But let's put that aside for a moment. The bedroom used to be plain and boring, but now my mother-in-law says it feels much better with the vase there. She seems to be enjoying herself. If someone thinks the huge vase next to the bed is interesting or improves the atmosphere, I'd want to question them for a long time. It's so out of place. And she brought it here herself, not through delivery. That's impressive. But now is not the time to be impressed. Are we seriously keeping that vase? My mother-in-law then complains that she's tired from moving the vase and asks if dinner is ready yet. She expects dinner too. What did I do all day? Worked hard moving the vase, she says. Can she please go home? I'm starting to get fed up. At first, I thought she was just lonely, but now I don't feel that way at all. I make sure to prepare rice and meat soup for breakfast while she's bustling around, ordering me around. May, where's my lunch money? I'm looking after the house for you. You're so thoughtless. At least vacuum daily. I'm the one getting tired of looking after the house. Don't modern daughters-in-law care for their mothers-in-law at all? Her endless demands are making me want to tear my hair out. And then she says she's going to stay the night. I'll sleep in the room with my son, and you, May, can sleep on the sofa. Seriously? What kind of punishment is this? She finally leaves quietly after I give her my treasured cookies, her favorite. I'm at my wit's end, Jim. Please do something about your mother. I cry out to my husband, feeling like I've reached my limit. Well, even if you say so, Mom must be feeling lonely, I guess, he replies. I thought that phase was long over. It's like she's trying to take over our house. Saying it out loud made it click. Now it seems like my mother-in-law is trying to take over our home. If things continue this way, it'll play right into her hands. Oh, forget about the vase. I think this is a problem, but my husband just frowns. Taking over is an exaggeration, he says. It's fine. She's just looking after the house while we're away. We don't need her for that. We have a home security system. Then should we cancel it? It'll save us money, I suggest, frustrated. That's not the point, he replies dismissively. My husband just doesn't understand. Even when I ask him to talk to his mother, he always ends up doing whatever she says. It's like it's always mother over wife. A mama's boy, huh? And still, my mother-in-law's visits don't stop. She's staying over more and more often. Is her takeover project going smoothly? Why do I have to sleep on the sofa? I miss my bed. Maybe we've been too kind to her after my father-in-law passed away. Is this what they call taking advantage of the situation? As I was pondering what to do, I was called in by my boss at work. Worried that I might have made a mistake, I went to see what it was about. Think you could go on a business trip abroad? He asked. A business trip overseas? A chance to get some souvenir chocolates from a colleague, away from my mother-in-law's reach. Well, it's not like that. Being selected for an overseas business trip means being seen as promising for the future. That's the unwritten rule in our company. No, it's different. I'm moving up, I thought. We couldn't have children, but in return, I devoted myself to my work, and it paid off. It seems God is watching over me. My response, "Of course I am," I immediately said. "Okay. Are you sure it's okay, leaving for a month?" My husband asked. "It's fine. Mom's here after all," I reassured him. "But it's his mother that I'm worried about. When I return from the trip, there might be more pots. My dear, leave the house to me. I won't let anything bad happen. I'll take care of it until you return," my mother-in-law declared confidently. "It's because of you that I'm worried," I thought. In the end, the business trip went too smoothly and got extended. Before I knew it, 3 months had passed, and now I'm back home. "Oh, how I've missed this place," I said to myself. "Yes, it's nostalgic," I continued. "But why is our house under renovation?" I closed my eyes for a moment, hoping it's a dream. But when I opened them, it's still the same. What I see is my home transformed by additions and alterations. What in the world? I dashed into the house. "Oh, welcome back. You're late," my mother-in-law greeted me nonchalantly. "Mother-in-law, what on earth is going on here?" I demanded. Well, we're remodeling. We needed to make it a 2-family home to live comfortably," she explained. "A 2-family home." Then my husband appeared. "Oh, welcome back, May. You were gone for a long time. Dinner will be simple tonight," he said. "It's not about having a simple dinner. Why am I just back from a business trip, expected to cook dinner?" I protested. "But that's not the main issue. What have you done? Done without telling me? What do you mean?" "We remodeled for cohabitation. It's better to have a 2-family home, right?" my husband said, seemingly unconcerned. "Why did you do it without asking me?" I confronted him, feeling frustrated. "This house is in my name, isn't it? I can do what I want with it," he replied, dismissive. But still, I tried to argue, but my husband scratched his head in annoyance. "It's fine, isn't it? It's more convenient to have Mom around. It'll make things easier for you too, so you can focus on your work," he said, trying to reassure me. "And yet you expect me to cook dinner? Housework is a wife's duty, right? You've been slacking off for 3 months. You can at least do that," he added. I felt a wave of exhaustion hit me at my husband's words. Slacking off? Did he just say that? How busy I was overseas, working from morning till night. I didn't even have time to buy a single chocolate bar despite being abroad. And the torment doesn't end there. "Oh yes, I've turned your room into mine." "So where is my room? Did you add it in the extension?" I questioned, feeling a mix of disbelief and anger. "There's no such thing. That extension is entirely my living space. But I wanted a room on this side too, so I turned it into a Japanese-style room," my mother-in-law responded, with a hint of finality. "What?" I exclaimed. "Then where is my room?" "That's what I'm saying. You don't have one." "What?" "A daughter-in-law doesn't need her room." "Let's see, if I had to say, your room would be the kitchen. Lucky you," she said with a smug look. I was speechless. She took over my room for herself. And now, while I'm working, she dares to assign the kitchen as my room. A quiet flame of anger began to smolder within me. Then my mother-in-law brought out some documents. "You earned money on your business trip abroad, right? Here, take care of this," she said, handing me the papers. "What is this? What does she mean by take care of this?" I asked, feeling a sense of dread as I looked at the documents. $160,000, I gasped. The total cost of the recent renovations was written there. I was shocked at the astronomical amount and confronted my husband. "How do you plan to pay for this huge amount? We haven't even finished paying off the house loan." "How are you going to manage with your salary?" I demanded, feeling overwhelmed. It's obvious that you're going to pay, May. We're relying on your earnings. You'll have to work hard and earn a lot for our sake. My husband said casually, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. In other words, they intended to make me pay the arbitrary renovation cost of $160,000. At that moment, something inside me cooled and then froze over. I was done. These two were no longer needed in my life. I took the luggage I had brought back from the business trip and left, ignoring their attempts to stop me. I booked a room in a business hotel and started taking action. The next day, I returned to the house. The sight of the changed home brought a wave of sadness as I stood there. My husband came out yelling at me. "May, where the hell have you been, and what have you been doing?" he demanded. "I just had some errands to run," I replied calmly, brushing past him and entering the house without a word. As I ignored his further attempts to engage with me, my mother-in-law yelled at me about last night's steak bill. "Even if you tear it up, I remember the amount," she said sharply. I snorted derisively. "I won't pay." "We are strangers now," I declared firmly, shocking my husband with my words. I slammed a piece of paper on the table. "This is a copy of the divorce papers. I've already submitted the original," I declared firmly. My husband looked surprised as he picked up the paper, confirming that it was indeed as I said. "Do you remember what we promised before we got married?" I asked him. He seemed unsure. "What was it?" "The promise my husband and I made before marriage was that if either of us betrayed the other, we would immediately divorce. We prepared divorce papers as a sort of safety measure, thinking we would never actually submit them, like a talisman. But now, I was glad I had them prepared. I had kept the divorce papers in a safe deposit box and submitted them yesterday. Since we are now strangers, there's no need for me to pay any money. I just came to pick up my things today. I've already found a new place, so I'll leave once I've packed my belongings." "What? Wait, May, this is a joke, right?" my husband exclaimed in disbelief. "The biggest joke was thinking you were my husband," I replied coldly. "Why should I live with people who mock me? We're married, not anymore. Marriage is about discussing and deciding important things together. Someone who makes major decisions alone, like you, isn't a husband. Why don't you live happily with your beloved mom?" But my cold words made my husband break down in tears, but it was too late for regrets. I continued. "It's good to care for one's mother. However, that should be balanced with caring for one's wife. The moment he disregarded me and followed his mother's wishes, our marriage was over." "This house is in your name, right?" I reminded him. "I saw the estimate yesterday, and the contract is under your name. Good luck paying back the $160,000. I waved my hand cheerily as he collapsed to the floor in shock. As I started gathering my things, my mother-in-law grabbed my arm. "Hold on, May. You can't just do as you please. I don't need your permission." "It doesn't matter what a stranger thinks of me," I retorted. As she was at a loss for words, I remembered something and handed her an item. "Here, as a housewarming gift for the renovation. Be sure to display it in your room," I said, handing her a vase. "What is this?" she asked, puzzled. "It's a vase," I replied. "Believe it or not, it cost $1. "You're lucky, aren't you, mother-in-law?" "What about the $160,000? She cried out. "Well, I'm just a stranger now," I replied with a laugh, quickly packing my belongings and leaving the house. What happened after that? Well, the two of them, who had completely relied on my income, seemed to be living quite poorly. They couldn't possibly make payments on the original loan plus an additional $160,000. My mother-in-law sold her own house, but it didn't amount to much and was far from enough to cover the costs. As for my husband, he was already dealing with reduced pay due to poor business performance. The shock of our divorce might have contributed to him making repeated mistakes at work, resulting in a significant salary decrease. I remember receiving messages from him filled with pleas for help, saying he couldn't pay the loan and they were going to seize the house. My mother's behavior has been strange lately. She accuses me of being a thief and wanders around the neighborhood. It seems they might have to let go of the house. With that shock, my mother-in-law was probably seeing his messages. I replied briskly, "Work hard for your mom, who's more important to you than your wife." And then I set my phone to block his calls. As for me, work was going well. My skills were recognized, and it seems I might soon be offered an overseas position, not just a business trip. Freed from the ill-fated ties, a bright future surely awaits me. Looking up at the contrails in the sky, I took a deep breath.